Good morning. Today, I want to address awakening again. Surprise, surprise. And remember, just personal reminder, I always need to remind myself, and this is an opportunity to do so. It's not an event. It's not a fait accompli. It's a process, a spiraling, never-ending process. There is no destination. It's all about the journey, isn't it? And the journey to forever. But given this, the non-static, non-linear process of awakening, it's always the gerund, the I-N-G. It's never truly the past tense, as in awakened. I prefer to say, more accurate, more relevant, more meaningful to say awakening. And inherent in that ing is it captures the continuity. And along the way, there's many habits, if you will, that you can adopt or adapt to this ongoing process. I'm really lucky that I have my brother to bounce things off on. We go on bike rides and I can work my way through something with his participation, with his reaction, his listening, his suggestions, his objections many times. Because we're talking about recently forgetting. And I think he's noticing more and more that forgetfulness is a part of my nature. He ascribes it to getting older. In his mind, that's something to be resisted. We can at least make an effort to counter the inevitable effects of aging. Many times he feels like I'm all too willing to embrace. But that goes to the fundamental difference between us, is that my acceptance in his mind seems to be an ultimate surrender. And I haven't even really broached the subject of surrender to him, because that's an anathema to everything that he believes he is. So it's not really, I don't think, open. And part of sharing wisdom is having the wisdom to understand when the person that you're addressing, the people that you're addressing, aren't ready to receive, aren't receptive. Usually because of objections of their ego. It flies in the face of, it flies counter to what their ego is supporting in their self-image. Remember, the ego is fighting for its life. So wisdom is a it's many faceted, isn't it? The wisdom to do, the wisdom to don't, the wisdom to will, the wisdom to will. I said that, didn't I? When? The wisdom to know when. As I'm into, very much out of necessity, into maximizing my energy, using it wisely, recognizing its finiteness, and a useless uphill battle, in the most times vain, and certainly useless attempt to convince anyone of anything. Try to convince yourself if you don't really believe me, if you're still using energies, if you still have convictions. Convictions reflect the drive, the willingness to convert, to alter, to sway another's outlook. So anyway, let's conserve energy. And we've been talking about this, I mentioned forgetting. He's attributing that he's watching for signs of aging in me because the 2 years, I'm ahead of him 2 years in the game of this life. And he's watching closely. And I'm sure it's within his nature, his supposed nature, his ego structure, egoic will, is that somehow he's going to avoid, or at least postpone, the ravages of age. I say, good luck with that. And I probably don't know a better man for the job, because he does have a seemingly endless source of energy. He's an energy being. He generates energy. Where I'm a non-energy being. Doesn't mean I'm not made of energy. It means that the physical body doesn't have a power source, doesn't generate energy. I need to absorb energy from the outside. I need to take in energy from others. I need to be selective about which energy I take in. And I needed, most importantly, to at least be unconsciously invited to partake their well of energy. About 80% or 70% of human beings generate this energy. They're the ones that never seem to get tired. I look around me in Taiwan, and the 70% here is incredible worker bees. They're just buzzing and going all the time. And 20% is 30% is the other 30% is non-energy beings. And I can easily tell the difference. I take in totally my environment like a sponge. I absorb it. In the sense of photographic memory people talk about. Well, I have the same ability to take in my surroundings. And when you get around energy being, you'll know quite quickly if you just engage in a little silence, just listen, and you'll hear their buzzing. They buzz, they make a physical buzzing sound like bees, bzzz, or like if you're too close to the box up on the The electric box up on top of the telephone pole, whatever the proper name, escapes me what the proper name of that is, but you can hear that hum. And the energy, like everything else, can be both a blessing and a curse. That constant buzz really does make it tough for them to truly listen, to truly slow down, to truly stop, put down whatever it is they're so busily doing. So we're talking about, is forgetfulness just a sign that I'm getting older? Early warning of dementia? Or could it be something else? And I started talking about to him, trying to distinguish that. The distinguishing characteristics is that I seem to consciously forget. It's an engagement rather than passive. Rather than, it's an action instead of a reaction. And I called it first, when I first started talking about this process, this event, this occurrence, this work, if you will, in my life of conscious forgetting. And although this was leading me on the way to what I was trying to express, trying to share this position, this observation of self-behavior, observation of myself, which requires a certain amount of intuitiveness, because there's nowhere there to state otherwise. It's about listening, feeling, being. So this process that I was addressed at the beginning of this message, this ongoing process, this ing, the gerund form of the verb, which means continuity. So I started really looking deep into this conscious forgetting, willingness, making an effort to forget through the process of letting go. That's the mechanism, is letting go. Stop holding on to it. And this is necessary if one truly wants to begin to learn how to live in the moment, how to be in the now. There's no better place to be, because that's all there ever is. And all there ever has been, all there ever will be is right now. And it's funny, even as I say the words, it's already gone, isn't it? So anyway, here we are, conscious forgetting. And it kind of morphed into meaningful or purposeful forgetting, which after all is just another adjective. It's almost like I got my thesaurus out and look for some adjectives. Look for some synonyms. This is the word I'm trying to think of. Look for some synonyms. But none of those meaningful, purposeful, conscious, none of them truly could capture what I was striving for. Capture of my process that was going on as I'm forming, that is going as I'm forming these thoughts and forming these words. So eventually, I'm the kind of person that chews on things like a cow chews on a cud. Don't let it go. I just chew on it. Sit on it. Sit with it. Bring it to my meditation. Bring it to my dreaming state. Not my awake dreaming state, my sleeping dreaming state. I like to differentiate because although it's all a dream, sleeping dreams seem different than waking dreams. Probably just a matter of perspective. Maybe when you're having sleep dreams, you know that you're dreaming, whereas when you're dreaming, when you're awake, it's much harder to understand, to understand the dreaminess of who and what you are when you're not asleep. Anyway, I like to be inclusive instead of exclusive. Embracing instead of inclusive, instead of restricting. So, my little epiphany, which I love to have, I'm always open to having an epiphany. And it usually, a lot of times will involve my other process that the other process escapes me for the moment. Serendipity. There it just came back. Serendipity. The happy accident. Yes, indeed. So somewhere in this awake, sleep, dream state, conscious, unconscious, subconscious, I understood that I'm looking for, the word I'm looking for is mindful. Mindful forgetting. It's quite the race to talk about mindfulness. And the irony never escaped me when people starting on this process get the misconception that mindful means silencing the mind. It's a state to be accomplished by negating, silencing, conquering, defeating the mind. And all I have to say is to anyone is good luck with that. Certainly a better man than I if you can and truly silence the mind. I learned long ago that number one, give it a task, put it to use, it can be useful. Number two, the monkey mind, the chatter, just relegate it to the category it belongs in, nonsense, complete nonsense. Not to be taken seriously for anything. Chattering just for the sake of chattering. So perhaps some level of ignoring the monkey mind, relegating it to where it belongs. Meaningless, useless. But the irony I was talking about, how do you be Look at the word mindful, full mind. Now you tell me, I'm the first one that can see dichotomies, to see dualities, to see the fallacy of dualities. Empty mind to have a full mind? Why isn't it called mindlessness instead of mindfulness? You tell me. I discovered for myself when I surrendered to the defeat of 30 years of practice aimed at silencing the mind in the hopes to get a glimpse of clarity. The clarity, as everything else, only came through the process of surrender. When you give up, it's surrendering to your lack of facilities, capabilities to truly understand the sacred, the allness, the oneness. You can merge in it because there's no choice, there's nothing else. So, mindful forgetting is a process for me of letting go. Letting go of the past. In order to truly be in the moment. And the most immediate reward for being in the moment is equanimity. You keep levelness in the face of adversity or abject happiness. It makes no difference. So again, this is within our ability, within our skill set, if indeed anything is to learn to let go. Let go means forgiveness. Let go means non-judgmental, non-striving. Not ambitious. Drive. Let those things go. The reward is immediate, all-encompassing, overwhelming. This is where bliss comes in. And I've talked before about bliss. I'm not ready to be in a constant state of bliss. That would just short circuit. Constant state of bliss means you're done. You're vibrating at too high a frequency to remain on this earthly domain, to stay in the physical body. So, glimpses of bliss, unexpected, unpredictable, and brief by design. When you no longer desire is not the word, when you no longer need, when your work is done, it's time to leave the body. That's the quickest avenue. Just bliss out. Not a bad way to go, is it? The only way to go in my mind. So this mindful forgetting is part of the process to learn to be in the moment. To be whole in the moment. Full is a better word, just fullness. And as I sit here in my studio / bedroom, my new one, my new house, door closed, staring into the monitor, talking with you, sharing with you. I'm not at all concerned with opposite me is my door. I'm not all concerned what was in my door, what could come in the next moment. Bring it on. This is your state, my state of mind at least, in this nowness. It's not closed, it's quite the opposite. It's open to whatever the world will bring. Because if you can count on, well, there's two things: change, and the world will bring it on. You don't have to go looking for it. I don't gotta go anywhere. I don't need to do anything. The world will find me. The world will do me. I don't need to even try to do the world. I feel such a nice smile today. I really feel like smiling because I'm drawn back to my recent almost fixation with my continence. This is probably how I face the world most times. And I have to be more aware of that, don't I? I've used it my whole life, the stern continence, to keep the world away, back up. Don't tread on me, don't approach me, because it was fragile, really, and a work in progress. But as that work has gotten, the result of this work has given me more strength. Physical strength, mental strength, emotional strength, spiritual strength. I'm a stronger man in almost every way than I was as an earlier, in the earlier version. And obviously, that's a good thing. To be a better man today than I was yesterday, and to be a better man tomorrow than I am today. There you go. That's my mantra. That's my mantra. So I want to include in my mantra to smile more, because as I have said, I'm happier now than I've ever been. And with this mindful forgetting, maybe I was happier, but I forgot. I'm certain I was sadder, but I let that go too. So it comes back to, what can you do? The list, unfortunately, of what you it appears that you can't do is quite long. And on the other hand, equally so, is the list of things that you can do is quite short. But one of the things you can do is choose. Another thing that you can do is surrender. Another thing that you can do is love. Another thing that you can do is open yourself. Trust is yet another thing. Trust the universe. The universe provides. You can let go of worrying. There's nothing to worry about. And indeed, worrying is one of the most egregious offenders of energy conservation. Upmost in right at the top of the list, I would say, is the conservation. The proper utilization of available energy. Because through the lens of this old body, it seems finite, although that's illusory as well. There's infinite energy. But we weren't designed to use this energy in an older body. It's time for conservation, reservation, reflection. So this is what I've ended up calling mindful forgetting. Forgetting everything that impedes or limits my ability to be in the moment, to revel in the now. Everything else is counterproductive. It goes against everything that every fiber of my being is want to be. So if I added a smile, if I add I don't know, smile's about all I need to add right now. I'll think of something else. Maybe that'll be a topic for another day. Meanwhile, smile.